Hello, everyone. So back with an untraditional update to Project Pathfinder. Um, I don't have a lot of video footage to show you guys. I do have some video clips that I'm going to show you guys. Um, but for the 2 years that I've been in my current house, I haven't done a lot of work on her. It was a mad dash for me to get her from the old house to the new house, and the new shop doesn't not accommodate vehicles of that size. So both of my vehicle projects have kind of been backburnered to a certain degree or another. And this spring, I'm going after it, hell or high water. I got to figure out how to get it done. But the things that need to be done on there is I need to re-gear my axles. I need to revalve my shocks. I'm going to add some custom parts to the shocks to make them perform a little bit better. And I want a cager. Okay. I need to make some modifications to the front bumper I built, and I'll show that and explain that in a minute. And that's pretty much, when I do the cage, that's going to be the start of the custom dash and things like that. I'm probably not going to finish all the custom interior, but I at least want to get the dash done so I can deal with all the electrical, because right now I don't have my winch wired up. I don't have my light bars or any of my accessory lighting wired up, because it's always been my agenda, to do that custom dash. And I didn't want to do any kind of wiring that I was going to have to totally dismantle and rewire again. So my goal this spring and this summer is to accomplish that, and also maybe not wrap up Project Tow Rig, but at least get her to the point where she's operable and I can use her, and she's weather tight. So let's come over here. I'm going to show you guys some pictures and some video clips. Try to make this quick, because you guys know this is the shop that I was working out of. 1,300 square feet. It had about 11-foot ceilings. This was the day I drove her out of the shop, and the day my buddy came with the tow truck to take both of the projects to the new property. I literally got her started and drove her out, drove her right up onto this embankment to just kind of eyeball how things were fitting, make sure nothing was rubbing, and he pulled up with the tow truck. So I quickly snapped this picture and snapped that picture and backed her down and started loading them up on the tow truck. It was that much of a pinch as far as time was concerned. So here's the rollback. We got the Project Tow Rig on there. I really did my best to try to get this whole thing sheeted off before we left, because I knew it wasn't going to fit in the garage, and I wanted to try to make it weather tight, but I just simply ran out of time. For those that have ever bought a house, you're looking at about 2 months between the day you make an offer to the time that the property closes, if everything goes about right. And, with the lawyer delays and everything, it kind of drags out for about 2 months. So when we made our offer was the day, and they accepted it, that was the day that we knew we had to start getting our shit together. So between juggling all the home sale stuff, we had to pack our stuff. I had to try to get both of these vehicle projects where they could be transported and be prepped so that I could have them here at the new house without it being an issue. And unfortunately, I just simply ran out of time with Project Tow Rig. So this thing is, all raw metal sitting out in the yard right now, collecting rust, which is going to take a tremendous amount of time for me to clean all this stuff up. But, I'll get it done. And hopefully this summer, that's going to all be addressed. So, go back here. So here's, Project Pathfinder on the hook right there. The tire rack was removed. The spare tire was removed. Totally pointless at this point. The rear tail light guards were removed as well. The reason why the spare tire carrier is pointless is these tires weigh, let me see, the wheels are about 50 something pounds. The tires are about almost 60 pounds each. And then the inserts for the internal bead locks, I don't know how much they weigh, but a few pounds there. Then the weights, we're well over 100 pounds per tire. So I don't know about you, but my truck sits pretty tall. I'm not picking one of those things up and trying to throw it up on this tire carrier. Plus, that's a lot of weight above the center line. It's just not necessary. And, although I have extra tires and wheels that I can make for spares, I'd rather just haul them out there on a trailer and throw them next to the campsite. And if I need them, I need them. If I don't, I don't. I'm always wheeling with other people. And in here in New York, it's all private property. So it's not like we're going on long excursions or something like that. And if I was, I would probably set up something a little bit different. So, those are the changes exterior wise that that were made to Project Pathfinder other than the front bumper. So let's go to the front bumper before we go on to anything else. Bear with me. There we go. So this is the way she looked when she was ready for paint. I had to do a little bit more finish welding on here. So this bumper here is actually going to be stripped down, modified again, and made a little bit stronger. And then I'm going to, it'll all be sandblasted and coated in Monster Liner. I just rattle canned it for now and ran it a couple of times. And I was concerned about this top metal. This stuff here, the base and everything is 3/16 thick or thicker. The winch plate, I believe, is 3/8. I forget, but it's thick. But this top metal that I use up here is sheet metal. It's only 18 gauge. And I did it here in the center because this is really just cosmetic here in the center. It's all gusseted all the way up and around. So all this stuff is more structural, but this stuff in the center is not. And it's just there cosmetically to hold my license plate and cover the top side of the winch. But this stuff over here acts as a gusset. And I use my bumper all the time. I smash into down trees, I'm pushing up against things and so on and so forth. And everything here in the center is nice and strong, but there's no mounting points way out here, and it's a lot of leverage. So the first time I rammed into something with this was a dead tree, and I actually pushed it back. This buckled right here at the top. And so I had to pull it back once I got home and flatten this out. And, then I had another issue where I drove over a very large down tree, had branches and everything everywhere. One of the branches went through my grill and tore up the grill a little bit, broke my lights and dented up this top corner. So, I'm going to replace that with at least 1/8 inch. I may go to 3/16, but we'll see. But that top plate here and here is definitely getting replaced with something heavier, and maybe some more gusseting inside to strengthen that up. And at that point everything will be covered in Monster Liner and we should be good to go there. Here's the back side of the bumper. You can see the gussets here, and you can see where the winch bolts on right in here in this location. Yeah, so everything's nice and strong except for this winged area out here. And, this is actually not totally finished because there was some clearancing that went on down here. It was kind of cut. Let me see if I got a picture of it. No picture there. Yeah, I think it's... Yeah, okay. So you see here, there was another gusset put in there, and this is actually how the bumper bolts to the truck. It bolts with 4 bolts here, and then there's a bolt here and one right here. And you see that bottom plate was cut like that. So it gets really narrow here in this location. So between being narrow here and this being sheet metal, that's the weak point on this wing. So if you start pressing in over here, it wants to buckle right there. So I'm going to do whatever I have to do. This will be heavier gauge material. And if I have to do some internal gusseting inside of here to strengthen this up so it doesn't do that anymore, that's what I'll do. But we'll see. That's a springtime project, which is coming soon, but it's definitely going to get done. So And, let's show you guys some. The first time I took it out four-wheeling was the Upstate 4x4 anniversary run, which I'm the founder of Upstate 4x4. And I hauled out the U-Haul trailer. I hauled out my barbecue grill, all the camping gear, my quad, my wife's quad. And this is at the end of the weekend. I was hauling out, and I just stopped here to get the sign and, headed home. Great weekend, no breaks. Everything went well. The only issue I had was the clutch. And that's because my gearing is so far off. So I'm running a 513 gear currently. I should be running a 589 gear for my tire size. And I know for those of you that know about gearing, that seems absurd. That is a super low gear. Nissans, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's the final output of the transfer case or what, their axle gear ratio is significantly lower gear than traditional vehicles. So from the factory, this thing had a 456 gear ratio in their axles for a 31-inch tire. So mathematically, the 37-inch tire should have a 5.9 or 589 gearing. And I have those gears. I have everything I need to do that. I just got to do it. But as a result of being so far off on my gear ratios, I'm putting a tremendous amount of stress on my clutch, and it overheats and I start smoking it, and that's my only real downfall off-road wise is my clutch. The shock valving is a little rough when I start getting going faster, but it's not horrible. It's just not as good as it's supposed to be. Okay. Let me quickly talk about that. So when people build off-road vehicles, everybody has their own allowance for error. Okay. And what I mean by error is lack of perfection. Everybody sees their build is, they have their own idea of what goals their build needs to make and what corners they can cut and whatnot. When I built this with the intention on trying to build it as cheaply as possible, but at the highest quality possible, which is why I went with two of my tires are Blem tires from Interco. What Blem is there's some cosmetic blemishes, so they sold them a little cheaper. I built my own wheels. Okay. I went with FOA shocks because they're the cheapest coilovers on the market. That bit me in the ass, by the way, but they remedied the problem. They work fine, but there was definitely some customer service issues there. Most of the fabrication on this was done by me. I could have went and bought a lot of bracketry and stuff like that from other places, and I built as much of it as possible because my time is not necessarily free, but it doesn't cost me any money. So, but then I didn't cut any corners other than not finishing my rear suspension yet. But my intention is to build this to the highest quality as I possibly can. I want it to perform as well as anything else that's built to the level of my vehicle. So with that being said, my expectations are high. Everybody that's ridden in my truck to this point is super impressed on how well it rides and everything, but I know how well it should ride. And it's not there yet. So this spring and this summer, my goal is to make it there so that anybody who rode in my vehicle from the point I drove it out of my shop until today, if they get in that vehicle this summer when it's officially done, they're going to notice a dramatic difference because it's all tuning. Okay, shock tuning, gear ratio tuning, and just dialing stuff in so that it works optimally. So, I don't want you guys to think that this thing wasn't built properly. It's just not perfect yet. It's not running, it's not riding to its 100% potential yet. Okay. So anyway, let's go back here and show you guys some video clips. I'm running out of time here. So my first year in the house, we got hit by about 15 inches of snow in October. And so I shot a quick video of me playing in the snow. I figured I'd share with you guys because it's kind of fun. Nothing terribly exciting, but, you know, it's some video footage. So that morning I'd taken my truck to work because the snowbank here is pretty serious and I couldn't get my car out of the driveway. So when I came home, I decided to go play in the snow and, you know, romp this thing through the yard a couple of times and crash through the snowbank. I had to edit this video because the snowplow started coming through as I was getting ready to drive over here. So nothing terribly fast, but, you know, it's a good time. There's Project Tow Rig here on the left and my boat over here. And my neighbor in the back doesn't care that I do stuff like this. He's a car guy, you know, and that's his building. He's got a bunch of cars in there. It's all in good fun. My yard. So, yeah, I just did that real quick and then went and parked her. You know, I try not to drive her out in the snow because they salt the roads out here, and I'm trying to keep her for as long as I can keep her. And, you know, is what it is. It's the nature of where we live. So this video here was shot during one of the last times I went four-wheeling out here. And let me see here. There's a mud hole.
With a big wave of water.
There's a mud hole. Those are my friends talking. Our trail system comes in here. This is private property that we go wheeling on, and where I have my anniversary run for Upstate 4x4. There's a bypass that goes around this big mud hole. I chose to go through it. It was all frozen. So initially when I went into it, I went in with my tires in the ruts. I got a lot of ground clearance. Normally, this is not an issue to go through. I've driven in it prior to it being frozen. What happens is this high point between the ruts, the axles tend to just smash it down. But because everything was frozen, it didn't budge. And what happened is I came in here slow to try to break into the ice without it tearing up my truck. And I went in too slow, and both axles got high centered on here, and none of the tires were touching the ground anymore. So I couldn't, even with it locked, you know, they weren't touching the ground, and I couldn't move forward or back. So they yanked me out, and then I was like, you know, this stupid little mud hole's not going to conquer me. So I repositioned it, came down the passenger side, got the tires up on the high point, and here we go.
Hit him with a big wave of water.
I like this video even though it's really poor quality because you can see the ice breaking in front as I'm plowing out of here. But if you guys watch closely, you'll see that there's a lot of engine RPM, and as I'm coming out, there's very little wheel spin. The clutch is smoking at this point, okay, which is not good. And let me give you guys a word of advice. You see this ice piling up in front of the truck here? You see that sharp edge it came out? This is not smart to do, so don't copy what I did. Something like that can puncture your radiator or puncture your oil pan, and your day is over. I decided to do it anyways. And if it broke, and I would fix it. But, you know, just my advice. This is not the smartest thing to do. Those pieces of ice are serious, and they can cause a lot of damage. Luckily, I made it through with no issues. So, yeah. I like how the ice just piles up in front of it. It's awesome. Yeah, and you see her there without the tire carrier and stuff too. So, just a quick before and after. For those of you guys that don't know, my truck looked just like this when I bought it. I bought it in 2010 in Phoenix, Arizona. This was the day I brought her home. And you can see the temporary tag here in the window. You can see my Volvo 740 behind it. Bone stock, bad transmission. And all the steering and suspension in the front was totally shot. had to rebuild it all. And here we are in 2020, and she currently looks like this. A lot of work, a lot of money, a lot of commitment, and not ever accepting the fact that I'm not going to accomplish my goal is how I got from point A to point B. When I bought her for $500, and I did not have a lot of money. Matter of fact, I was quite poor. And we left Arizona because the economy was so bad. And I just stayed committed to my projects. And, you know, if you stay committed to your projects, you will accomplish your goals. So there she is. And she's still got a long ways to go. And, you know, you're going to see some stuff happen this summer. So let me show you guys some articulation pictures just so you can see what she's capable of. So there she is at work. Still not maxed out in this picture. You can see the limit strap's not quite tensioned all the way, but pretty close, you know. Ton of articulation. And I've got a picture of her totally maxed out. Where are you? Bear with me. My eyes, there we go. My eyes sometimes don't function as fast as my brain, or vice versa. Anyway, these are some hills across the street that used to be at the church across the street from my house. They would get like 20 tons of backfill and pile it in here and eventually smooth it all out. The hills don't exist anymore because they've stopped taking in fill. But, you know, while it was there, I decided perfect, optimal place for me to stretch her legs for the very first time and see what she had as far as articulation. And there she is, totally maxed out. So this is actually the point where I also realized that my gearing was so far off that I was going to have clutch issues. And, you know, it is what it is. You do a build of this magnitude and there's going to be things that you need to adjust to perfect it. So, you know, in the grand scheme of things, that was something that I knew was a possibility, but I took a chance, and it is what it is. But everything geometry-wise on this thing works really well. It's literally just my gearing and my shock valving, and everything else functions extremely well on the truck. So, yeah, those are those pictures. Let me go over here to Instagram real quick and see if I can find you guys another photograph or another video. For those that don't know, this is my 6-3 podcast page. So I created new Instagram pages for all of my content individually. Oh, shoot. Went to the wrong one. So Alvarez Metalworks' Instagram page doesn't have much content yet, but you know, I just haven't got around to uploading a bunch of photos and videos to that yet. I will. So the UVision Media one has all the original content on it. I just changed the name. So let me scroll down and try to find you guys that video. Bear with me here. And there we go. You can see how hard I'm having to get on the clutch to get this thing to creep. You know, slipping it and bouncing on it. If the gear ratio was right, it would be in 4-low and should be able to creep and crawl over this a lot easier. So right now the passenger side rear tire is up in the air just because of weight distribution. You know, the front end's heavier. But as I start creeping forward, it starts balancing out and the ass end comes down, and you'll see here shortly.
Yeah, it's off the ground right now. Yeah.
So I'm just trying to get it to the point where both tires are barely touching the ground so I can get out and take pictures.
What's that? Yeah.
So yeah, Instagram shortened my video up, but that's what it is. So anyway, let's end this thing here. Thank you guys for watching. You know, if you want to see more of these photographs that I have on here, go follow me on Instagram, specifically the UVision Media page, because that's where a lot of these photos are at, or, you know, and also Alvarez Metalworks. But go follow me on Facebook, because I have a ton of content on Facebook. Okay, Alvarez Metalworks on Facebook is what you're looking for. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for all the support. Like, comment, and subscribe. And for those of you that are sticking around through my channel changes, I truly appreciate it. Got a podcast coming out for 6 to 3 that should be hopefully entertaining. I thought it was pretty entertaining. It'll be out Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern time. And this one's going live as soon as it goes live. I'm going to try to get some more Alvarez Metalworks content out for you guys here in the next week. Another video like this one for an update on Project Tow Rig, and hopefully some, you know, smaller projects that maybe I can knock out before the weather gets good, and we'll go from there. So talk to you guys later.